know what we should do for this, Dave?
What should we do for this channel?
The little Ninjalinas like set this whole thing up. They're so smart. But anyway.
Honestly, it should be where we come running into the room.
They should have and we should run into the room, tear our shirts off, and say, "We're here."
It's us, Thunderlips, in the flesh, baby.
To pump you up.
I like it. I think we can do that.
Well, good news. We are officially live for episode 2 of Q&A Fridays. And we have a ton of really good questions. Like, it's probably going to take us another 40 minutes to get through all these. And so thanks to everybody who submitted their incredible questions to us, because it gives us something to talk about outside of what we normally talk about.
What do we normally talk about?
Well, usually we just talk about like gobbledygook. I don't even know if that's a word.
It's officially a word. It has to be a word if you said it.
Yeah, and it's gobble.
Yep. And then really it only comes down to is it recognized? And so a word's a word if it's recognized.
Yeah, and
somewhere, anywhere.
I 100% recognize it, so it's legit.
So it's a word.
Yeah. Law. Now it's law. And if you call it a law, just like the laws of marketing, that means it's legit and it's 100% good.
Just ask MC Hammer.
Yep.
That's right.
Hammer time. All right. Okay, so should we get started with all of our questions for the day?
Yeah, let's tear through some questions. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, and if you guys listening have questions based off the questions we answer, just go ahead and throw out those additional questions, because I'm watching it right now and we can hammer those down as well. We like engagement. All right, so number 1, our first
numero uno
was, how can you tell the difference between a good marketing company from a bad marketing company? And this is actually a really good question, because it's incredibly difficult to tell from the outside what the company is going to look like. Some things I look for in the marketing company is I kind of look around for clients they've worked with, and I look what the work looks like they've done. So is the work oriented towards a relationship?
Sorry. I'm trying to make sure we can see the comments.
I got them here.
I got it.
So when we look at the differences between marketing companies, you have to make sure that what the company is offering is actually what the company does. And you have to make sure your goals coincide with what the company does. So everybody's going to call themselves like a digital marketing company, because digital marketing is everywhere. Everybody's going to call themselves a Facebook Live expert. Dave, Steph says we sound like robots.
That's impossible.
No, let me check.
I think Steph sounds like a robot.
Like a digital marketing company, because digital marketing is everywhere. Everybody's going to call themselves, hey, that sounds great. Well,
I think it sounds great.
Yeah. So anyway, when you're trying to choose a good marketing company, you need to make sure that what they're offering coincides with your goals, and then what they're doing, they're capable of doing. So a lot of companies who are new will try to take on more than they can chew, because they want big accounts, and they think that like the biggest thing in marketing is to land big accounts. But in reality, you have to scale yourself up properly. And a lot of these new companies are like 1 or 2 person games. And so you have to make sure, is what you're looking for something that's small scale? Is it just you that you need help with? Or do you have an actual business and a lot of different people you're working with? And you need to make sure that that company can maintain and manage that. So you need what kind of businesses have you worked with? What's the largest business you've worked with? What's the smallest business you worked with? What is the philosophy of what you guys do? How many people are on your staff? What does your infrastructure look like? And then once you ask those questions, you're going to get an idea of what their staffing looks like, who they've worked with in the past, and a good idea as to what they're looking for, what they can do, and what their philosophies are in business.
Yeah, I think something else that really, I think, separates good marketing companies from bad marketing companies is, what do you need as the consumer? So you obviously have to do your homework and you have to understand what you're looking for. But I think what people run into, and the reason why there's so much confusion, is everybody does something totally different, and they're sold something totally different. And the clients, they just don't know what they're looking for. So everything sounds good. So I think a good marketing company is going to actually sit down with you and really analyze your business and help you understand what you need versus just trying to sell you what they offer.
Ooh, that's a good point. So a good company is going to,
good point.
So fancy. So a good company is going to, you have a really good marketing company when they tell you what they can do and they listen to what you want, and they'll tell you whether or not they can do it or whether or not it's a good fit. A lot companies who are desperate are just going to take anything, but the companies who really understand what they're doing and know why they're doing it are going to be able to tell you exactly whether or not they can help you, and they're going to say, yes, we can do this together, or no. And so that's another good way to tell.
Yeah. And a lot of times the marketing companies, they're just selling you what they can sell and make money on, what's easy for them, what they can scale easily. That's what we found. I mean, that's why we're doing what we're doing. You got to help first. But I think that really separates a real good one from not even bad. I mean, a lot of the times these companies can all do something well.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But they usually do one thing. We've seen this a lot. They're like, I'm a marketing company. What do you do? Facebook ads. Well, that's not a marketing company. That's a Facebook ads company.
Yeah.
It's like, but they can spin it and make it sound like it's a big marketing company and it takes care of all your needs, but it's only one piece of an overall puzzle.
Yeah.
So understanding that and having a company that helps you understand what you need, and I'll say that again, what you need versus just what they're selling or what they're good at.
Yeah, that's a good point. Other questions you can ask are, what is your focus? Are you focused on more of a short-term or a long-term philosophy? Are you guys actual strategists? Do you design the strategy to make sure it's going to work 12, 24, 36 months from now? Or is what you're doing trying to get me short-term gains so I'm happy initially? And those are big questions. And that's when you can understand whether or not what they're doing is going to work for you and what your goals are. Like, are your goals short-term help or are your goals long-term help? And so once you put those things together, you can decide whether or not the company is good. Then if you hire a company and they start delivering, then are they actually delivering what you need? Is it communication poor? Are they under-delivering? Are they performing well? Or are they not performing to what you thought you were going to be able to do with them? And once you figure those things out, it's less about giving them chances and stuff like that and more about proper communication. So you need to make sure you tell them, like, hey, what we talked about isn't what's going on and we need to fix it. And then that's how you move forward. Just continue that communication between the company once you hire it. That was a good question.
I think it was a fantastic question.
So the next one is, what are the benefits of marketing automation? So marketing automation, we feel pretty strongly that everything should be about building a relationship with people. So you definitely don't want to automate your entire thing, but you do want to develop systems and tasks so you have your time managed efficiently. And so the benefits of marketing automation is the fact that if you're a small business owner, you've got limited time. You're not going to be able to do all the tasks repetitively that you need to do all the time, so you're going to need help doing that. And you're not going to be able to hire like 75 assistants to do everything for you. So you can set up a marketing automation platform like Infusionsoft to set up emails.
Shout out to Infusionsoft.
So you can set out your marketing emails to go out along your sales pipeline. So you get off a phone call, you click a button, now an email goes out. That's like the post-call email and all that stuff.
And done right, I'm going to just keep interjecting on you a little bit, but done right, it's in your voice. You're not trying to set something up that doesn't sound right, or this happens a lot with automations is you buy a cookie cutter automation program. And we've seen this and people are like, turn it off because it's not me. It doesn't sound like me. And the clients know. Well, that's just because you didn't do the work and work with the marketing company to adjust the copy so that it is you, right? So it's about simplifying your workload by having it already queued up, ready to go, right? And I think that's an important piece. Make slight adjustments, send, instead of having to recreate the processes every single time.
Yeah, and when you think about marketing automation, it's not, I think a big misconception in marketing automation is that it's just about emails. And it's more than just about emails. And a good company who can create the stuff where he's going to design something that does send out the emails, like the post-call emails and reminder emails and all the emails that you would otherwise have to do repetitively. But at the same time, if you have a good automation platform, it can be a task management tool at the same time. So if I need to get something done, I can assign myself a task and get reminders to actually do it, and then I can check off that I did it. Or if I need my staff to do things, I want to monitor what they're doing, I can assign them tasks, and then when they complete it, they check it off, and I see that it's done. If they don't complete it, they don't, and I get a reminder that nobody finished it, and I can ask them what's going on. So it keeps you on point, and it keeps your tasks automated and managed efficiently at the same time.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's management software, task management software. So it all has to be tied in, and it can't just be campaigns that blast out. It's pretty important. I mean, like open rates on those things. Actually, at Treehouse School of Fitness today, it was pointed out. So we have a 46% open rate with our emails, which is double what the average is. So now I got to dig in to see how come we get so much open rate on our emails, right? Because it's a follow-up system. So when an email goes out, say it's whatever the email is, if you get reminded, now I can do my job. I can then, instead of having to sit down and write the emails and send things out and follow up and all that, I can come in the morning, pull up my tasks for the day that have been assigned to me, and then just focus on that, because the actual work on the back end is already done for me, because I've done it once, and then I've learned how to replicate myself in a system, right? So they are pretty important. But it's not just an email system only it's just not good enough.
Yeah, so think about automation shouldn't be just marketing automation. It should be automation across your whole business and your systems. And it allows you to, like Dave's saying, to replicate yourself 27 different times. So rather than an assistant telling you everything, you have a task management solution telling you that you need to accomplish everything.
And I think one of our things that we think about when we look at automations, campaign automation and everything, is you should build your business around communication with your existing clients, former clients, and potential clients. It's all the same communication platform, and it's all about the relationship. And so this thing should be a support structure for you communicating, and then reminding you just not to miss anything. When we get busy, when you're focused as a business owner, or an employee in a business, and you have time, you do everything right. Maybe it's simple stuff like birthday cards or a phone call, a text message to say congratulations or something. So that's all good when everything's going your way. When you're swamped for the day, you might miss important things that you should remember about your clients, right? Could be, even simple things like ordering products for your business, or delivering on service to your clients. It's a matter of setting it up so that you have all the fail safes set up so that you can't make any mistakes. And a good system and a good marketing company will actually help you do that correctly.
Yeah, it's the key. Not just emails, it's automating the tasks that you need to perform and reminding yourself to do things, because you're going to be overwhelmed as a business owner. All right, so that was good. So the next question is, what's the difference between marketing and sales? So this is actually a really good question. So the difference between marketing and sales is the fact that marketing's role and marketing's job is pretty big. And that's why people don't understand what like a marketing officer does in a corporation, why they have shorter tenures than a lot of the other executives. But so what marketing essentially is marketing is building awareness around the brand, driving traffic to the brand, and getting referrals to come to the brand, getting people to talk about the brand, building the sentiment towards positive nature in the brand. Marketing's job is to basically build a whole net around the brand that everybody's aware of and everybody can interact with and everybody's excited about. Whereas sales' job is to actually take them once they're into the brand and they want to purchase or they want to get a piece of the product. And sales' job is to actually close them and sell them on what's going on. This is why marketing and sales often fight a lot of the time, because sales just wants to drive people in and sell, and marketing wants to build that awareness and build that strategy.
Yeah, and I think something else from a marketing side of the arm is it should be you see, in a good company, it's market research, market fit on products to make sure that what we're actually communicating out to the world and what the feedback is from that. There's a channel for that, which then marketing then can send into the company to make sure that they're making the correct adjustments for what's going on in the industry, product, all that stuff.
And when you see a good marketing and sales team, they should work hand in hand. So marketing is building a relationship, building awareness, driving traffic and business into the business. And then sales is taking the job of actually closing the business and pushing the revenue in. And if the relationship is built well on the marketing, it makes sales job easy. So they can interact and talk with each other about the entire client life cycle. This
constant collaboration, so important, because some of the times, the sales guys are the bridge between your actual service and what's going on with marketing, you know. And so if this sales the product and everybody's on the same page. You know, everyone knows what they're doing. How do we make these pivot shifts when we need to? You know, how do we create, you know, content that's all the same, you know, one big company that has to work together on all those things. But there's a clear difference between actually selling and closing and going out and, you know, nurturing and finding business.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why you see like, oh no, I can hear an echo, Dave. Oh, it's better.
It's not me.
So that's why in like the corporate environment, you see the introduction of like the chief revenue officer role, the one person who's supposed to bridge the gap between marketing and sales and create good processes and collaboration between the two departments in the organization.
That's right. Right.
What do we have next?
That sounds like a fun role.
No, what an exciting role. All the collaboration and talking. But what's the difference? So the next question is how to sell product using social media. So when we look at selling products via social media, we want to, number one, look at where our demographics match up. So who are we trying to market to? Who are we trying to target? And where are they at? And chances are they're going to be on a specific social media platform. Usually Facebook is a big one because we can drive traffic through Facebook and through Instagram through their ad platforms. If you have like a younger generation, like kids in high school especially, Twitter is going to be really big, and Snapchat. If you have people who are 21 to like 37 or older, you're going to look at Instagram stories and a lot of that stuff. But what we really look at when we're trying to sell on social media is we always sell without selling. We sell by building the relationship and by providing an incredible amount of value and in putting out content and information that makes people feel like they're part of your story. So you want to put out information and content that showcases the humanity behind your brand, the humanity behind the people running it, and just the humanistic characteristics and imperfection that brand is going to showcase. Then once you've built up an audience who really cares about what you're doing, that's when you can ask them to purchase your products, or we can go for a call to action or run a call to action in conjunction with what you're doing. Yeah.
So in the social media wise, at this point in especially the US, I mean, it's social media owns the ability. So just remember is Facebook makes up 25% of all internet use, Facebook alone. So that just shows you how powerful social media is right now. So even if people are finding you on the website doing the traditional thing, know that your influence is a robot. The audio isn't great today. Is it better? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So
yeah,
the influence of social media is just huge. And if you're not playing the game right, it's expensive. So one thing that we can do from a traditional marketing standpoint is this. If you want to pay for leads and pay a lot of money for leads, you can get 1 to 4% by putting ads on social media and grow your business thousands a month. And it's, yes, it works. It's traditional marketing, but it's taking the old school traditional like marketing approach and applying it to social media. Problem is you're crushing your market, like your audience, you're just constantly putting ads out. So people get turned off to that. That's why with what Chandler was saying with relationship marketing, we're trying to build an audience and build a relationship and have them be part of our story. Know that as a business moving forward, the companies that can do this and do it well will own their markets, right? Very important. You're seeing the big corporations are doing it now. They can just spend a lot of money at it. You know, smaller businesses can't. So you have to do it right, or you spend a lot of money. And a lot of the time it's for crappy leads. And you turn a lot of people off with always asking for closes, always putting out calls to action, pain points, right? You rip through a market pretty quick that way.
Yeah, it's a big problem. And people, when you're constantly just shoving ads in their face that ask them to purchase things, it's pretty much like the old days when you would cold call people and they answer and hang up immediately, or when those horrifyingly bad Google telemarketers who aren't really associated with Google but pretend they are, call your business and say,
or Yelp.
The top level. Yeah. And this just upsets people. It offends people. They don't want to be associated with it. And then if you're trying to brand, that brand is going to be tarnished, and that brand is going to be, oh God, they're calling me again. Yeah, like Yelp. Oh, Yelp. Everybody hates Yelp.
You don't even answer. You know the number, right?
And you pay attention to it. And if you're a consumer, you probably don't know this, but every single small business hates Yelp because they extort businesses in the way they go after them. Basically, they call you and ask you to advertise, and if you say no, magically 2 days later, all of your reviews are hidden. And so it's a really big problem with small businesses, and a lot of them don't want to work with Yelp, but they feel like they're a little bit hamstrung. So you don't want to end up with that kind of a reputation, because then you have to try to fix that reputation down the road. Right.
And it's old school marketing applied to social media. And it's the wrong approach. And I think you and I are on a mission. We're going to make sure the world knows that, and knows that they need to make sure that they do a better job nurturing their clients. And when you go on social media and when you put stuff out, it's not, don't worry, next Saturday, the next challenge is happening. Sign on now. There's 5 spots left. No one wants to hear that stuff anymore.
Yeah, and when they do, they get buyer's remorse immediately afterwards. So buyer's remorse happens, and you get a 50% no-show rate to all your inbox that you're setting up, or all your sales calls or whatever.
Right, and then you have to invest in sales training and salespeople, and it's so much easier to just build a great audience, help your local market, and just create a community, and treat it like the best way I can push it out is talking about like your existing clients, your former clients, your potential clients. Same thing, right? Communicate with them, give them value, make them want to be a part of what you have going on.
Exactly. Make people feel special, and then they're going to be they're going to feel like they want to be part of your brand forever.
Chandler makes me feel special, and I want to be a part of his brand forever.
Yeah, we make each other feel special.
We do. We shouldn't tell the world that, though. Side note, we have a trip coming up to Chicago, and we're bringing the whole team, but we're thinking we should leave them all home and just go with us.
Yeah, it's going to be great because we're the dynamic duo.
That's right. Adding more team members just messes that up.
Yeah, we don't want to mess up the flow and the mojo.
Oh, wait a minute. They're watching us. We shouldn't have said that live.
Yeah, now they're going to hate us.
Now they're going to know.
There are 2 viewers right now. All right, so let's go to the next question. Why is it important to start using Facebook ads now before cost per click rises as more people are selling on social? So this question basically looks at the idea that when something new is around and there's a lot of awareness around it, you want to capitalize on the attention on it before. And so we saw this with like Google ads when they first came out in the Google platform, and we saw this in like a lot of the other things that came out before that. And so right now what we're seeing is Facebook ads are the biggest thing that you can use to drive traffic if you do it right. And it's incredibly cheap to use. You can get people to watch your videos for less than 1 cent a view. You can get people to your website for less than we got something we're running right now because we built a relationship so strongly, but it's down to like 20 cents a click to go to our podcast and download it.
I think the evolution, what it shows is like when Facebook first came out, it was a free platform. And if you posted something on Facebook, everybody in your network saw it. And then they started pulling that algorithm down. So then now it's like 4% or 5% of people in your network actually see your stuff. And then you have to pay to play. So now if you want your actual friends to see what you put up, you have to pay to have them see it. And so then when you get into marketing side of it, when an ad first went up, it was cheaper because it was new. Now, if you put a certain type of an ad up, you could be paying $2, $3, $4, $10 a click on the thing, depending on the market and what you're doing. And then, so the next phase was live video. And then you put live video up and it prioritizes it because it's new and it's super cheap. But when everybody starts doing that, then the market comes up because they know you need it and they're going to increase the pricing on it until the next thing comes.
It's basically supply and demand in the market. So when something new comes out, it's cheap. The company wants everybody to use it. Then once everybody is using it, they allocate the cost associated with it and they make it go higher because everybody's on it. It's general supply and demand. And when you look at what's really cheap right now, the most cheap thing you can do right now is probably like a Snapchat ad campaign. They're working really hard to create this generalized system where you can go on and run Snapchat ads. And that's probably the cheapest thing you can do other than like iHeartRadio advertising. So if you're in the market,
love radio.
Radio's fun. And like streaming services are big because everybody's listening right now. So iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, a lot of those things. A lot of the companies might be struggling, but there's becoming a big presence on it. And so we're seeing audio with a huge rise here. Podcasting be big. But if you are in like a Snapchat market right now, it's a beautiful time to run Snapchat ads because they're super cheap. The Snapchat is getting to the point where they really need to push a lot of people to advertise on that platform to grow revenue, to make their investors happy.
I think another part to finish that off is, you have to build an audience on social media. So if you don't have an audience, it's really, you're paying a lot of money to get in front of people. And so the bigger your audience is, the cheaper it is to communicate with them long term. So right now, if you're in the game early and you're pushing content out and you're paying for content and you're getting likes and followers and what you're doing is you're building an audience, a long-term audience. And so it's cheaper to acquire that audience right now than it will be in the future. And that's, same thing with, if you're looking at like Snapchat, Instagram, it's too late if we come in now and say, oh, you need a Snapchat channel and you're trying to advertise on Snapchat. You don't have a following. There is no audience. Right. So you need to make sure that you spend the time building your audiences. And so running and getting involved in the Facebook ad game now, doing it right, is smart. Right. You should be really focused on it, understand it, partner up with some companies that can help you. But it is very important that you do it. How are we doing, Chan? You in or what?
I'm in. Every time they tell me I sound like a robot, I just shut everything down and come back on, and then it works again.
Perfect.
So the big thing, it's just basically attention. How much is attention is on a platform, and do we think that attention is going to get to a point where it's going to get really big eventually? So the people who are on Twitter initially, then Facebook initially, then Instagram initially, even Instagram right now, Snapchat initially. And now those ones, the people who are on that as early adopters are the ones with the really big followings. And so you also have to pay attention, like what's emerging and what's going to be big and what do I think I can get on now to hopefully build it up in the future. And there's smaller platforms right now. So you've got like Anchor, which is a really cool audio-based platform where you can record audio segments and have a podcast run. There's like the Musical.ly platform that a lot of kids are on that records like music videos while you sing with it and stuff like that. And you don't necessarily have to use these often, but you do want to be on them so you have a little bit of a presence. So as more and more people funnel over, you start to build a following just because you're on there.
Right.
All right, so next question. Let's see. I want to know how to engage comments on blog posts that you post on Facebook for people that are not in your community currently. So when you're looking at engaging people who are commenting on blogs and commenting on your Facebook posts and your Instagram, it depends on what they say. So if they're saying like, that was a great video, you want to comment back, hey, great, thanks for watching. If you ever have questions or anything, let us know. I'll usually use like emojis in my comments and a lot of that because that's how we speak to people on social media. You have to remember that social media isn't about like the perfect grammar and the perfect posture and the way you write and all that stuff. It's about writing a little bloggy in a more conversational tone and using the emoji icons and a lot of those things because that's what people do when they're texting. If you pay attention to how people text, especially millennials, there's a few words, there's some things you can't understand, and there's a bunch of emojis. So you want to really initiate in that direction. So you want to write in a way that not only answers their question, but shows appreciation, and then also make sure that they know that if they have anything that they want you to talk about, you're available for that. And then if you create that conversation for a long period of time, you can get to a point where you're messaging them in your direct messages to answer questions directly.
Yeah, and I think taking the approach, I think this is a mistake that the businesses make in general, is they think social media and we got to put stuff out, and it's an extra work. And so they're putting stuff out and they're putting ads out and they're saying, oh, we're educating and we're making people happy and you're doing all this stuff. But social media is about connecting with other human beings. That was the big game. They figured it out. How do we connect all these people so that if you're on the other side of the world, you can still see what your friends are doing? And connection is communication. And if you're putting stuff out, I like to connect the old school world with the new world because social media did change the world. So if you're in your business and somebody walks in the front door into your reception room and stands there and says, this place looks great, and you don't respond and you just sit there at the desk and stare at them, that wasn't connecting with a human being. So on social media, now we get this amazing thing where you can connect with as many people as you want. And if they like something of yours, or they comment on something of yours, or they share something of yours, think of it like you have a responsibility. They just were in front of you and said hello, or they gave you a compliment, or they told their friend about you and it was an introduction. You have a responsibility to communicate with them, right? That's what the whole platform is even for. That's where you actually get your clients. And we made the mistake years ago of pushing so much content and having so many likes and so many followers, but nobody was actually talking to them. It was like we filled our business up and everybody then left, right? Crickets, so you got to make the sale. You got to go in and communicate and work and answer questions and build relationships.
Yeah, and when you go back and forth with people, it's super individual in the way you do it. So the way they comment is going to be the way you comment back. So if they say great video and put like clappy faces and a bunch of emojis, you're going to comment back in the same way and play off the way they speak. If they just comment great video with an exclamation point or whatever, but no emojis or anything, you can comment based off that. So play the way you comment and the way you interact with the way they interact initially. And if they're super playful, you can be super playful. If they're
I like being playful.
Playful is fun. I like it. You ever read the newsletters and stuff that we put out throughout of the cave? It's outrageous and funny and all over the place, but it's the way our brand wants to display itself and people really enjoy it. And it's because it connects to people. It makes them laugh. Like the other day, if you read our last Out of the Cave Media digest, I put a sentence that said but, and then a bunch of words, and I didn't put the T on the but. And then about a little bit down into it, it said, hey, totally forgot to add the T there. And Steph was reading it and was trying to correct it. But that's the kind of stuff that's funny because people will see it, and it's just builds that humanistic characteristic with what we're doing and plays off of what your readers want to see, feel, and hear.
Well, and I think when you write like that, I like when you write like that. You make me smile. So you're trying to get people to engage, right? So if you just put something out for them to read, they looked at it and read it, but if they actually had to, especially in the beginning, they looked at something and, they just engaged with it. Oh, I found a grammar. Oh, no, it's fine. Ha ha. I see what he did there, right? At least they're now interacting with whatever you're putting out for content, really interacting with it, not just ripping through it quickly, So now you've just primed them to actually look for more things like that in your article,
exactly,
right? Or letter or anything.
And then when they see future articles, they're going to want to open it because it's hilarious. And
yeah, they're like, oh, I see what they're clever. This guy's clever. But I think the other thing, like you said, mimicking somebody else's style. What you're describing is like actually studying and understanding what you're doing, right? Like this is just business in general. The people that do better in business, in their jobs, study and learn and take courses to improve what they do and also their communication with how they do it. And so that's actually, any high level job, if you got a high level, marketing or sales or anything like that, anything that interacts with customer service jobs, they go through all sorts of like interpersonal relationship type stuff. They learn how to read people, how to respond to people. It just makes you better at your job. Like if you don't if somebody's telling you something and you just don't recognize what they're trying to tell you, you're failing, right? You're not good enough at your job. And when you get into social media, it's the perfect atmosphere to actually do that stuff with.
Yeah, exactly. It's huge. And if you can react off of people in a way that Tara just said, do you crack her up?
Courses. Stop it.
Say courses.
Stop it. I'll just talk like I'm just straight up from Boston.
Hey, courses.
I'm going to go park my car. Harvard Yard.
At the bar.
Chan, when are you going to come out to Boston, visit?
I don't know. When are you going to take me to the bar?
As soon as you get here, we go straight to the bar.
Yeah, perfect. So Dave has a good point there. It's understanding what human beings are doing and reacting off of the way they're doing it. And that's how you become relatable. Like, oh, they're interacting with me in a way that I'm comfortable with, in a way that I find funny, in a way that I find interesting or engaging or whatever. And if you can do that, you're always going to have an engaged audience who wants to open your emails and who wants to comment back and forth with you on Facebook and all that. And so remember, just learn what people are going to do when they do it, and before they even do it, you should have an idea of how they're going to interact. All right, next question. We got one more.
Yes.
So how to have multiple website links on Instagram. So I think this question stems into on Instagram where you can put your links in Instagram, because there's not a lot of spots where you can link out. So the one spot, you can actually only have one link outwardly in Instagram, which is going to be in your bio. And so in your bio, you're going to put that link in there. And our link in our bio changes all the time. For Out of the Cave Media, it changes for every podcast we do or for whatever we're trying to promote. So what we do is we put the link in our bio to our website, like when you first start the page. Then you put a link up and you want to link to your blog. So you tell everybody blah, blah, blah about this blog, link to read the blog in bio. So they know to go to your bio and to click that link. And then I usually wait about 24 hours and I'll put another thing up that if I want them to link to bio, or I'll put a picture up and then another one after that that has a link to the bio to watch a video. And this is how you take people off your Instagram and move it into your website or your YouTube channel or your newsletter or your Facebook page, and you can get them everywhere off of Instagram. And the other thing you can do to link out to people is if they comment or something and they're going back and forth with you on Instagram, you can say, hey, shoot me a direct message. And when they direct message you, you can post links in the DM. So that way you can go back and forth with them and post as many links or as many things you need them to see in the DM.
Yeah, and I think that's another important piece to really have business owners understand is, social media is not, I do this platform or I do that platform. The whole point is you need to tie it into your overall business. And this actually comes back to how we run, say, like email campaign systems. Like by itself, it's not as powerful, right? Same with social media stuff. Just Facebook. If you're not actually communicating in it and tying it back and having a system in place for how you actually manage all this and how it interacts with your business, you're missing it. It's not a separate tool. It's part of an ecosystem of your business. It's just one of the communication channels of the business. So understanding it's super important, putting the effort in, making sure that if whatever you're talking about today, whatever the picture's about today, whatever you're trying to drive people to today is the link you should put in your bio, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And if it's different tomorrow, the link needs to change.
Yeah, and like Dave's saying, it's the idea that you can't depend on one channel to do everything. So you have to have a presence. A lot of people have Facebook, but they don't use Instagram, or maybe they use one or the other. But what you have to do is you have to always link out to everything you want to use and make sure everything leads into everything. So Facebook should lead to your newsletter sometimes. It should lead to your videos. Instagram should link out to your website, to your YouTube channel, to all the other things that you want to build and grow. And then everything should link to your newsletter eventually to get people on there and excited about that newsletter.
Right. Yeah, because think about it. You put your newsletter out. Who saw it? Some of your clients and potential clients are on Instagram all the time. Some of them are in Snapchat all the time. Some on Facebook all the time. Some open their email. Some people do none of those things. And so maybe then it needs to be posted. Maybe there needs to be a copy of it laying in the reception area, right? Like making sure that you communicate in all platforms where all your clients are at, because they're not all on the same platform. Right? They're all going to be all over the place. And somebody might be on Instagram today and tomorrow forget to open Instagram, but they jumped on Facebook. Right? And so you need to make sure that you're putting your stuff where everybody can see it. Go to them. Right? It's like putting a stamp on an envelope and mailing it to them. But where are they going to be at? You have to make sure you put the work in, tie it all together, and make sure you're communicating across all platforms. And then all platforms lead home. Right? You want to bring them then out of those platforms to you to talk to you.
And then once you get everybody flowing into like your newsletter or your content, we do a content digest, then you use the digest to not only get people to come in and purchase your products or whatever, but you use the digest to link everybody back out to your social platforms. And then you're going to grow a following of people who just pay attention to your emails in your digest because they know it's going to link them to everything they want to watch and see for the week. And they don't have to go find it in other platforms. And that's how you take your email newsletter and not only use it to flood people into your business, but to flood people back out to your social media. So it's not just like a bucket. It's like a bucket that's overflowing all over the place because we want things in every different way and moving through every different avenue.
Right. And this is I guess that whole concept, everything we're talking about today, is the basis for the relationship marketing experience, right? This is it. It's doing it all and tying it all together.
Exactly. You got to make sure that it's a strategy and the strategy works, and it's not a straight road. It's a road that's going to be all over the place. There's going to be arrows up and down to each platform, back and forth, your websites, your strategic partnerships, your workshops. So everything needs to be organized in a way that everything leads into everything, which is pretty cryptic and exciting.
This is good. These questions, we had some solid ones today.
Yeah, that was all our questions. So
yep.
We're 40 minutes in, and next week, if you guys have more questions, make sure you post them. We'll post this on the podcast later today. And as always, Q&A Fridays, we're looking for all the questions you have. Remember that every question is a good question, because if you're wondering it, chances are everybody else is wondering at the same time. This world of marketing and social media and sales and business and entrepreneurship is a pretty mysterious world. And so there's not a specific answer for everything. So we're here to answer whatever you guys have.
And talk through it, collaborate on it a little bit. We have some great background knowledge. We can always bring on other experts. If we find something that, if we dig into some questions that, tap us for knowledge, and we'll probably bring somebody in that's top of the game in it next week. Right.
All right. It's been fun. Until next week for episode 3 of Q&A Fridays, but we'll probably see you before then, because it's the Almost Daily Show.
Happens almost every day.
Almost daily. All right.
That's right. Later, guys.
After the broadcast, post them in the comments, and we'll go back and forth. See ya.
Later.